Hello, everyone. My name is Jacqueline, and welcome to today's Author Celebration Live. We're honored to spotlight a powerful and soul stirring new release, Journey of My Soul, A Path to Self Discovery and Empowerment by Jamie Lean O'Neill. This deeply personal and transformative book is more than a memoir, it's a sacred invitation to turn pain into purpose and step fully into your life through raw storytelling, spiritual insight, and heartfelt reflections. Jamie guides readers through healing, awakening, and radical self love. And we're also celebrating a huge milestone. Journey of My Soul is now a USA bestseller, charting in 5 categories, including Kindle Store, Women's Inspirational Spirituality, Spiritual Self Help, and Inspirational Spirituality. Plus, it ranked 28 in the new releases in Women's Inspirational Spirituality. Congratulations.
Thank
So,
you.
you're welcome. And if anybody is listening out there and you ever felt that you're too much or that you're not enough, this book will remind you that you are a magic and making. Let's celebrate Journey of My Soul and the light it brings into the world. Again, congratulations, Jamie, on your Journey of My Soul. How does it feel being in the bestseller?
I was pretty excited to see the email yesterday, actually, especially because the ebook just launched on the 10th. So to already be getting there is like, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Well, you definitely deserve it. So congratulations. Now, this book is described as part soul manual, part healing companion. How would you describe it in one sentence, and why would you describe it as that?
Oh my goodness. In one sentence, I would just say um, the guide to uncovering your soul's purpose. And with that, I think a lot of us feel sometimes like we're stuck or, we're
Mhm.
just not really sure what steps to take to move forward. So in this book, I clearly outline a lot of the steps to help you uncover what your purpose truly is.
Mhm.
And I do that through a lot of reflection exercises and a lot of journaling so that you can uncover it yourself instead of listening to what other people tell you. It's more about going within and being able to pull those answers out of you.
That's wonderful. I love that. Well, you talk about childhood trauma, toxic love, addiction, and self sabotage in the most incredible and honest way. What was the most difficult part of writing so vulnerably, so exposed, and how did you care for yourself through it?
I mean, there was a lot of times in the process of writing the book where I asked myself, "Are you sure you want to share this stuff?" Because
Yeah.
some of it's messy.
Hmm.
Some of it I am certainly not proud of, things from my past that I've done. But
Hmm.
your past does shape who you are today, and the trick is to overcome those things and to just work harder to be a better person. And through sobriety, a lot of that came so much clearer to me. I've been sober for almost 6 years. It'll actually be six
Oh,
years on New Year's
wonderful.
Eve this year. And I just remember being out New Year's Eve, and it was just before midnight. And I looked at this vodka in my hand, and I was like, "I'm done. This is it." And I put it down. And that was New Year's Eve of 2019, and I haven't picked it up again. And so I just kind of wanted to start this book to share some of that journey with people who may be struggling with alcohol addiction, with other types of addiction. And, the main reason why I turned to those substances was to numb the pain that I was feeling inside. And, sometimes I think that's sort of what our natural go to is to, how can I avoid this? How can I not work through it?
Hmm.
So I thought it was really important to share all of those things, the very uncomfortable, messy things, so that other people may be able to relate to it and understand that you're not alone. Like there's other people out there and people that understand what you're going through. And if I could just be any type of a light to help others on their journey, that's what's gratifying to me.
That's wonderful, and I love that you mentioned that you have We have messy past, but doesn't have to be just that, right? We are not our past. We
Exactly.
always, yes, we can always come through that.
Absolutely.
Many readers will resonate with this and feeling that they're too broken or too far gone because of the things that had happened in their past. What would you say to someone who's still stuck in that particular mindset?
I think the biggest thing is to hold compassion for yourself. If you
Mm,
need to give yourself like that love and that understanding of, okay, this is where I'm at right now. This is where I'm at in
mhm,
my journey. Have compassion, give yourself a big hug, and then start trying to figure out your ways to work through that and where you want to go, and do it in little baby steps. Just if you start to look at healing as like this big picture, and you can get overwhelmed. So break it into little tiny things, starting with like, what can I do for myself today in this moment? What do I need right now? And that's sort of where I began mine. It's like, for me, it was that moment of like, I need to put this drink down. So I did that. Then the next day it was like, okay, I'm awake, I'm sober. What's next? And then you can just start planning it. It doesn't seem as scary or overwhelming when you can just give yourself that love and then figure out what you're going to do next.
that's wonderful. It doesn't change doesn't happen overnight,
And
and
it's not linear either. I mean, it's an ever winding path, and
yes,
it's a daily choice, right?
correct. And I think you're right. It's making those little choices every day that will truly bring you to transformation. It doesn't have to be a big change overnight. Um, so that's a wonderful tip to everyone. In your description, there's a line that says, she doesn't shy away from the dark, but instead shows you how to alchemize it into light. Can you share an example from your life where you turned your deepest pain as a source of purpose or power?
Yeah, I mean, some of these things are even at times still hard to
Mm,
talk about for me. I think that one of the examples would be, you know, relationships that I felt like completely ripped me to shreds. And, just being able to like understand that there can't be light without the darkness, and we do have to go
mm,
through those things so that we can learn to appreciate when something is good for us and something presents itself in our lives that is the opposite of that darkness. So if I think back, if I hadn't gone through some of the really bad physically violent relationships that I've been in, part of me wouldn't really appreciate when somebody real and somebody nurturing and able to share their vulnerabilities as well with me, I would not maybe have
mm.
appreciated that. And you know I probably wouldn't go back and erase too much of things that happened in my past, because it does shape who I am today. It was uncomfortable to go through those things at the time, and a lot of things were very heartbreaking, but I honestly, I'm just happy that I've overcome that, and other people can too.
That's wonderful. And another theme on your book is radical authenticity. What do you mean by that? And can you share a pivotal moment of self-discovery leading you to this radical authenticity?
I think one of the pivotal moments actually was choosing to put this book out there with all of my dirty little secrets in it. Again, there's moments where I'm not proud of that, but
Mhm,
I think if, in order to be authentic, you have to get real with yourself first. Everything starts inside. And
mhm,
for me, that moment was putting myself out there and running the risk that there's going to be people out there who don't like what I have to say in this book. There's going to be people who, may pass judgments on me for who I used to be. And, that is a scary, very scary thing. But I'm putting myself on the line because I am being authentic and I'm speaking my truth. And I think that it's really important to do that. And even just talking about it right now, I get overwhelmed. I get that sense of like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? But at the end of the day, this is my truth, and everyone has their own truth, and it's all at different levels. So, here it is. It's out there. It's out there for the world now.
And I think you're very brave in doing this and setting an example to everyone, every woman, or every person out there that they feel stuck simply because of what had happened to them, what they did in the past. But you setting an example that it doesn't have to define you, is really nice, and we really appreciate it. And I feel more than the people that might, I don't know, shame you for the little things that they might discover in this book. There will be more people that will be inspired,
Yeah.
and that will get help in making this particular transformation the way that you did. So that's wonderful. Let's talk about divine alignment. What does that look like in everyday life, and how can someone know when they're stepping into it?
Well, I think divine alignment it actually just means different things to other people, and I
Hmm.
think again, I touched about this sort of when we did my first interview was I do kind of go through spiritual practices in the beginning of the book and about what the
Hmm.
soul means across different perspectives. And so I think like that alignment is basically whatever is truest in your heart. Um, and as a daily practice for me, I like to be mindful. So I
Hmm.
practice little bits here and there of mindfulness meditations whenever I start to
Mm.
feel overwhelmed with things or, just the day to day stuff. And if you can stop and just center yourself or take a breath or, just focus on that present moment. For me, that's what my divine alignment is. For somebody else, it could be something totally different, but I think it's
Mhm.
just more like what resonates with you and your spirituality.
That's wonderful. And speaking of these meditations, you've also included journal prompts and guided reflections in this book.
Yeah.
What role does writing, what do you feel is the role of writing and self-inquiry plays in, self-healing?
So my first book that I published was about 2 years ago, and it was along the lines of this journey of my soul, a guided journal. So the very first
Hmm.
thing was a journal to get you to go inside, go within. And for me, the writing process started. I have my original journal from like 1984. I still
Oh,
have it.
that's wonderful.
It's got the worst handwriting and the spelling is atrocious, but I still have it. And, part of that for me was like, so therapeutic because all the things that I did go through as a kid, went to 11 different schools before I was even in seventh grade, always
Hmm.
being the new kid, stuff like that. It was kind of hard for me. And I didn't really have anybody back then to like process all that stuff with. So for me,
Hmm.
I took solace in writing in my journal. And so I wanted to share some of the things because, back in the 1980s, they didn't really have journals that were guided. They just gave you a blank
Yes.
book and said, here you go, write in it. And that's great. That's beautiful. That allows you to really be in touch with yourself. But, I would have loved to have had something back then that actually made me think and ask some of the tougher questions about how to uncover certain things. So that's where it was kind of important to me to incorporate some of those journal prompts in this book as well. And they're completely different from what's in the guided journal. So I just went through different reflections and different journal prompts just to help you, to help anyone who's like, gosh, I don't really know what to write about. It just makes you go within and think.
That's great. That's great. Well, I understand. You've shared earlier that you've shared your book with other people, and they have great feedback from you. Would you be able to share a little bit of the feedback that you got from them?
Yeah.
Did you get any? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did kind of do a little soft launch on this book with some of my closest friends before I put it out there for the world to see. And, one of the biggest things I got was like one of my really good friends, she actually said that she was crying a little bit at the first just reading it to
Mm.
like process sort of some of the things that I had gone through. And it just helped her to, get through some of the stuff that she's been going through. She lost her
Mhm.
husband, and stuff like that is very difficult. And some of the things that I write in my book helped her to be able to sit with herself a little bit more and uncover grief. I also share, my therapist in there actually, because I think therapy is a huge thing, and ways to get into contact with people that might be able to help you. And, just basically like, thank you for sharing your authenticity. Thank you for sharing your truth. And I feel like this is going to really help other people to be able to do that with whatever they're going through as well.
That's nice. And I know that, anybody who would read your book, this will be something memorable for them. But what's one chapter in Journey of My Soul in this current book that you believe will stay with your readers long before after they post the last page?
I think that, um, you know, I touch on a few things, but for me, I feel like the first chapter, I really get into a lot of different, again, different perspectives of stuff, and
Mhm.
just kind of uncovering what that is and how to help with your purpose. And I think starting from right out of the gate, I just dive right into everything. And I think that first chapter is pretty impactful.
That's nice. And I did had a glimpse of that chapter, and it was really wonderful.
Thank you.
What is one myth about self-healing and spiritual journey that you hope your book can break?
I think that there's a little bit of a stigma sometimes around, you know, spirituality in a sense, like the new
Mm,
age way of doing things, and that meditations are just going to be something that cures everything. And I think the people out there who have those opinions don't really understand what it is until they truly were to put it into practice for themselves. I am one of
mhm,
those people. Back in my early times, before I started to get more spiritual and to understand meditation and things like that, I was like, I just looked at people who are doing it. And I was like, that's crazy. You're just sitting there, you got your legs crossed. What are you even doing? What is this even
yeah.
accomplishing? So for me, I feel like being one of those naysayers and those non-believers in the beginning, and then my therapist brought it up to me like, hey, practice mindfulness, do that, you'll get more peace. Once I started putting that into practice, I realized, wow, this actually is more than just a new age thing that's supposed to put a mask on everything. It actually really does. It helps me tremendously. And so part of my goal is to help people understand that just because something might be deemed new age, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work. You can make anything work that you put your soul into. And I think that's kind of one of the things I want to get across with as well with the book.
I love that. And so if someone is listening right now that's just in rock bottom, what message do you hope your book will send them, or would you like for them to hear?
Well, there's a part in the book that I talk about my rock bottom.
Mm,
And this is it's a difficult one. So my rock bottom was a moment when I was 27, and I thought that it was just everything was over. There was no reason to be here anymore, and I tried to
mm,
commit suicide. And the next day when I woke up, I was so thankful that it didn't actually work. And your rock bottom doesn't have to be the end. That's the story that I really want to portray in this, is that tomorrow is another day. And I would have missed out on so many very beautiful things had that worked back then. I wouldn't have my beautiful son that I have now. I wouldn't have my amazing partnership and all of the friends and people that I've met. And I certainly wouldn't be standing here today talking to you about healing and helping people if I wouldn't have had that bottom moment myself. And I just want people to understand who are maybe feeling that way or feeling like there's no hope and they're just drowning, that tomorrow is another day. There is resources. There are people out there who are just like you going through things. And, I don't even care if people reach out to me personally. I just want to be here and be a beacon for that. So rock bottom doesn't mean the end. You can climb your way right back out of it and reach the top.
That's a very wonderful and powerful message. Thank you very much for sharing that. Well, as a final, before we wrap things up here, what do you hope your book will, how do you think your book can help other people, you know, become better or just raise themselves up from where they are right now?
I think again, there's just so many different stories that I put in there, different stuff that I've gone through. I mean, the range of things is crazy when I look back at it. But the biggest message of all is, your past really does not define you. Your trauma, the things that you've gone through, there really is a way out, and that really is the message that I want to give. And every answer that you're looking for, it's not out there in the world somewhere. Everything is
Mm.
starts within. It's all inside of you. What my book does is it not only tells my stories, but it also gives you those tools to help uncover those truths within yourself and to just love and have compassion for yourself and where you're at right now.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jamie. And thank you for opening the door to others to heal, grow, and rise. What is next for you? How can people get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you?
So I have my author website is jamielloneal.com. You can reach me there. If you're looking for some coaching, I offer spiritual coaching. I offer one-on-one guidance, and that is at silvermoonholistic.com. And of course, I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. So you can always reach out to me there, send me a private message, send me an email at jamie@silvermoonholistic.com. No question or no query is too difficult for me. I'm happy to be there and help you. And if you're lonely and you need a friend or whatever, like, I'm your girl. I'll be there. I'll answer everyone's questions and just try to be the light that I can.
Well, thank you so much for sharing yourself to everyone. Journey of My Soul is a beautiful companion for anyone ready to reclaim their truth and walk boldly into their transformation. The ebook is now available on Amazon, and paperback will be available as well soon. So, if your soul is ready for real talk, deep healing, and divine alignment, grab your copy right now today. Thanks again, Jamie, and thanks
Thank
everyone. Until
you.
next time.
Thank you.
Bye.